How's it going, investors? Ari Gutman here with the TipRanks team with yet another batch worth of value stocks with strong dividend yields, and of course, with each of these investment opportunities rated as buys by top analysts across TipRanks. Now, given all the volatility and uncertainty building up within the market, it is a necessity for investors to find sound investments. So you're not going to want to miss out on today's video. And without further ado, let's dive right in. As always, just before we begin breaking down today's stock picks, I want to set everybody up with the what's and the whys of the stock market volatility as of late, which, if you've been keeping up to speed with all of the market news, it's been the Federal Reserve's latest sentiment and tone on combating inflation that sparked mass fear and a lot of panic within the stock market. Well, this week is going to be a lighter one. We can expect that next week we'll pick up on some volatility as the latest consumer price index report is due to come out, which will be a major determining factor for the next interest rate hike decision. Now, while investors are in fact hopeful for a less aggressive Federal Reserve, the strengthening of the labor market leaves the door wide open for a hawkish Federal Reserve to press forward with a 75 basis point rate hike as opposed to a 50 basis point rate hike. Now, amidst all of this volatility, it is wise to remain calm, continue to do your due diligence, and make wise investment decisions based on your own financial situation. But overall, value and dividend stocks tend to be investments that provide investors with more safety over the long term, which leads me to our very first dividend stock of the day, Newmont Corporation, primarily focused on investment management, catering to larger scale corporations as well as ultra high net worth individuals. Now, Northern Trust currently has a $19.46 billion market capitalization. It's come a long way since its founding in 1889. With such a history, they have also weathered many storms worth of market volatility, but of course, that doesn't make the firm immune to market declines, whereas Northern Trust has been trading down on the year at a current share price of $93.38 per share, which is 21% below its peak as we entered 2022, which has raised some eyebrows and sparked some interest. Now, as we can see, increased buying activity from hedge funds last quarter when it comes to Northern Trust, with 102,000 shares purchased, with the largest funds, Mares and Power to Ariel Investments combined total coming in over $272 million. Now, just because their stock is down at a 52-week low doesn't necessarily mean it is undervalued or a buy, but when looking into their PE ratio, we can see it is currently sitting at 12.7, which is considerably lower than other firms like Blackstone and BlackRock. Now, when it comes to analyst forecasts, top analysts on TipRanks foresee a share price of $114 per share. It's roughly a 22% upside for shareholders. Of course, shareholders in Northern Trust will also be able to capitalize on their dividend, which is coming in at 3%. Next up, we have Farmers National Bank, which is another financial sector investment, but more diversified in terms of services offered, as they offer mortgage loans, personal checking, and a wide range of financial products, ultimately meaning they have a much larger customer base. Now, since Farmers National founding in 1887, the firm has grown and amassed a market capitalization of $484.03 million, which is considerably smaller by market capitalization when compared to competitors like PNC, M&T Bank, or First Republic. However, that does not mean it shouldn't be a potential investment if the metrics are all strong. As of right now, like many financial investments, Farmers National is down on the year by 22.73%, trading for $14.21 per share. Their PE ratio is coming in at 8.5, which is, on a more positive note, lower than some of those competitors mentioned previously. Now, while retail investors see Farmers more negatively, it is certainly interesting to note what insiders have been doing for the past several months, which has been buying in on the stock opportunity. We can see buy after buy after buy from multiple directors. Perhaps more exciting overall here, though, are those analyst forecasts, when analysts are forecasting a stock share price of $17 per share, according to top analysts on TipRanks. And until Farmers is on the comeback, likely when the market turns more positive from economic data and more favorable news, shareholders will be able to collect on Farmers' dividend yield coming in at 3.98%. And finally, the last stock that we're going to be breaking down today, Newmont Corporation, which was founded back in 1921 and has ultimately become one of the world's largest gold mining corporations, based out of Colorado, but with gold mines throughout the United States as well as in Quebec, Dominican Republic, Australia, Ghana, Argentina, and Peru. So quite a sizable operation with a $33 billion market capitalization. And for all those investors mining for value out there, it very well may be found within this industry leader despite the inflationary drag. Now, Newmont has remained a resilient investment up until this past April when the stock began its descent. Newmont currently trades for $41.67 per share, which is down from nearly $85 at its peak earlier this year. That's a 30.62% change. Now here's where it gets interesting, as hedge funds have began dumping this stock by hundreds of thousands of shares last quarter. We can see that they have also begun to come right back in and score more shares of Newmont, indicating positive momentum to come. Now, as for analysts, they too are forecasting positivity with a target share price of $61 per share, which is just a tad over 46% worth of upside. Not to mention bullish blogger sentiment and retail investor favorability around the investment itself, all on top of an incredibly high dividend yield coming in at a whopping 5.28%. Now investors, there you have it, from Northern Trust Corporation to Farmers National and Newmont Corporation, today's batch worth of analyst rated buys with plenty of upside potential with each of them. Before we close out for the day, please remember that videos like these are not intended to be stock advice, but merely informative videos so you can see through to all of our TipRanks tools. However, just before we close out for the day, I'd love to catch your thoughts on these 3 investment opportunities, so drop all those comments down below. And until next time, thank you for tuning in.